Hey everyone, Neen here from the Hyperactive Bookworm. I am outside on my lunch break from the day job, which I'm starting to think of as my book break, which, yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So I thought I'd finally get around to doing my June wrap-up. Now, because I read most of my books audio or Kindle, I don't actually have a lot with me, but I do have 2 of the books from the month paperback. But this month I read 10 books, not as good as previous months, but pretty damn impressed with everything that was happening in June. And I had some really good books. I didn't have many amazing blow my head off 5-star books, but basically a lot of them 4.5-star books. So a really happy reading month. 1 or 2 3-star books, but they were still really good, just not up there that I will, end up getting the paperbacks or anything like that. But let's get going. So I have 3 top books. No, 4. 4 of 6 is not bad. So these are my top favorite books. 2 of them I have the paperbacks of, obviously because I like them that much. One of them I've spoken about before, and it's Poppy Jenkins. It was just such an amazing book. I just loved it so much. I won't go too much into it because I did my first reading vlog on it, so I went into a bit more detail, but I'm actually really looking forward to reading it again, which is a really good sign for a book. Second book I have that's on my list, the paperback just arrived, so I'm really excited about that, and it's The Thing About Tilly. Yes, that's right, I read it as an ebook and then I bought the paperback, which basically says how much I love this book. The diversity of the characters, the beauty of the description and the scenery, it's just so good, and it's angsty and it's full of frustrations, and the author, Benson, just has done an amazing job of it, because yes, it's angsty, yes, it's frustrating, but she's balanced it so well with happy moments and just sarcastic frustrations from one of the characters, and it's delightful. And it's basically about these 3 main characters who have been friends since uni, and things are starting to shift and change. 2 of the characters are, friends to lovers sort of thing. They both want more from each other, but they don't tell each other, hence the frustration. And of course, Tilly, the thing about Tilly, there's a big old secret that is so frustrating, but you find out about it in such the best way, and everything kind of, you understand a lot of the frustrations by the end. That's the cat meowing again, and the dog's out here, and the cat's not out here, so she's all frustrated. So they're 2 of my tops. So the next top book I had was The Brutal Truth by Lee Winter. Oh my god, I loved this book. I love that part of it was set in Australia. There's just, so it's about a newspaper mogul, I guess. Elena Bartel, holy crap, is she fantastic. She's just everything. And she comes up against an Aussie, lower rung, foot in the door sort of writer who wants to be a journalist, and they clash, but they bring out the best in each other, and they just, the Ice Queens that Lee Winter creates is just, but the thing I really loved about this book is the whole, things can change depending on perspective, and so bad stuff happens, and the way it can be turned around and become some of the best moments of your life, and then something so positive can actually have repercussions that hurt. And it's just so beautiful, a book. And Lee's humour comes through, and her ice queens are just, they're to die for. All right, so the next book I read was The Creeping Void by Tim Mendees. I have a paperback book coming of this. I'm so excited. I actually won a copy of this from Tim's live draw, so I'm so excited. Paperback version of this, but it's definitely one of my favorite Tim books I've read. It's just so fantastic. It's a quick read, it's a short read, it's a post-apocalyptic, and it just has the best combination of humor and horror mixed together, which he just does a brilliant. He just masters this concept so well. That's the dog. Say hello. Yes, there's Mazakine. Good girl. Good sitting. Anyway, sorry. So Tim masters the mix of humor and horror perfectly, and I love this book. And of course, because it's Tim Mendees, there's elder gods involved, which, you know, you'd be disappointed if it's not elder gods. It's at least got to have some tentacles involved. So yeah, that just fantastic. So now the next best books that are so close to a 5, but there was just something that just didn't cling to me, and these were books that I really liked, but they're not books that I've found myself thinking about later. And another Tim Mendees book. This one's Spiffing, and I really liked this book. I loved it. I thought it was brilliant, but I haven't found myself wanting to reread it or wanting to go back to it. But it's so worth the read. So if you haven't read it, oh my gosh, absolutely worth the read. It's absolutely brilliant. It's like Cluedo meets Agatha Christie, with elder gods, of course. And it's just this complicated, twisted, old school feel. And it's just it's a nice change of pace when you're reading. It's just fabulous. Next one is The Miracle Girl by T.B. Markinson. I finally read The Miracle Girl, so I read Kismet, which just blew me away, and it made me actually want to read The Miracle Girl, as there's cameos from characters from The Miracle Girl in it, which I didn't realize when I first read it. And it was just really enjoyable. Like, it goes into some pretty intense themes like addiction and balancing between what you have to do and what you can live with doing. And it doesn't kind of glorify addictions, and it shows the reality of falling off the wagon and the struggles of it, which I found really good, without being too, I don't know, depressing. So that was great. Another book is another indie. I've done a lot of indie books this month. In fact, I think basically all of them are indie, which I love. I love that so much. The next book was Sentinel by Drew Sterling. Really cool. Creepy. And sort of one of those ones that slowly creeps up on you. It's basically an ensemble cast, a murder, a mystery, supernatural, set in a small town. And it is. It's creepy and it's slowly just, yes. Hello. You want to tell them what you think of the book? No, get down. That's my lunch, little girl. Anyway, sorry about that. So, it's really good. It's great. Drew's a great writer. I recommend checking out his stuff. What else have we got? All right. Another, an author I hadn't read before. And now I can't even think of her name, which is terrible. Irregular Heartbeat by Chris Zett. Yay, I remembered. So Chris Zett, I hadn't read her books before, and I was really blown away. I really enjoyed it. It wasn't a 5-star for me because I felt there were a few too many conveniences, just with certain plot points that I don't know, they just kind of made me go, oh, all right. But besides that, it was really good. I absolutely adored it. Beyond that, great writing. brilliant characters. I really liked the two main characters, and this whole idea that, you know, you don't have to stick to one path. You can pivot, you can change, you can have different things going on in your life, and that's okay. It also shows kind of like making those choices, that there are repercussions, there are consequences to your actions and your choices, but you can turn them as well. You can find a way to make them positive. Also, this whole idea of standing up for what you believe in. It's not too late. It's never too late to start standing up for what you believe in, even if you haven't in the past. It's never too late, basically. The next book I read, I actually really enjoyed. I struggled a bit with the first person, and it was a bit jarring at times. Now, this book was called Dani by Angelique Jordonna. It's her debut novel, and it's really good. Like, she has so much potential, and definitely an author to look out for. I just felt some of it was a bit jarring, so it's not right up there, but it was really it's hard to say fun because it's murder horror sort of thriller with romance thrown in, because hey, why not? So it kind of reminded me of like a cross between like a lesbian Dexter mixed with sort of Silence of the Lambs aspects. It's really, really triggering, the book. So just be aware that if you do go to read it, which I do suggest, absolutely, I recommend having a go if you're into that kind of genre. There are a lot of triggers. So just, yeah, be aware what you're going into. But it was a great read. It was, yeah, it didn't take long to read. It's a novella, but it was great. So yeah, great debut for an author, and I am looking forward to seeing what she comes out with next. So that's really exciting. The last book I read was actually a reread, and it was a listen, and it will always be a 5-star for me. But I put it at the end because, well, it was the last one I read, but it was just, it's so out of my normal lately. So it's actually The Enchanted Woods by Enid Blyton. The books I read as a kid, I still love, and I love to reread them, and I always will, but this just excited me so much because I saw it, and it's actually narrated by Kate Winslet, and I was like, oh my god, how much more perfect could you be? And she does such an amazingly fun job of it, and it was just so nostalgic to listen to it and to get reacquainted with them. Sure, I did shudder a little bit every time she said Franny instead of Fanny, because, you know, PC rules now, but, you know, we can forgive her for that. So it's a great, fun, quick little kid story, and she's just such a great narrator. So they're the 10 books I read for June. Surprisingly, not as many queer books, considering it was Pride Month, and I really should have read, you know, just queer books or something, but majority of what I read is queer books anyway, and I had the opportunity to read these others. The majority of them were queer, but just not as many as normal, which is really surprising. July, I don't know, I'm hoping to get through a few more books. I'm hoping to keep on track for all my reading goals. It's a little bit tough at the moment with some heavy duty writing goals going on, and I'm doing Camp Nano, so I'm really diving into more in-depth time with my writing, but fingers crossed I'll still get quite a bit of reading done. I've already read one book for July, so, you know, it's not going to be too bad. But yeah, so hopefully, you know, let me know if you've read any of these, if you like the sound of any of them. But they're the 10 books I read for June, and hoping July is just as good. Thanks, y'all.